welcome everybody. It's an absolute delight to see you all. This is a BAPT webinar which is being recorded, so it can be viewed later on site. So anything that you hear today, you can hear again a bit later should you wish to. But a huge warm welcome to my colleague Susan Nash. Susan and I are very good friends. We have known each other for well over a decade. I don't know. I think we first met at the Dallas APTI
It was
conference.
Dallas, yes.
Yeah, a long time ago, where we sort of got chatting, and then out of that came a resource that we wrote together. And so Susan actually was the person who really put temperament on the map for me, because before that I'd sort of had a glance at it, but not really enjoyed it. I think my ESTJ preferences meant that I hated the fact that it was just asymmetric, and it was somehow SJs and SPs and then NTs and NFs, and that sort of drove me a bit bonkers. But having had so much time with Sue and learning about temperament has become something that I rely on hugely. So I won't talk too much longer, but Sue, thank you very much for giving up your time today. Not just for the people here, but we know there will be many more people who will get the benefit of this. So we thank you very much, and I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning from here. I think it's tomorrow, I think, in New Zealand, and it's later today in Toronto and Europe. Nathan has very kindly put in there to make sure that you can see the slides and people. It's important to look at the view icon, top right corner, and you'll see that way you can select gallery view, so you can see the people on one side, the slides on the other. And if you want the slides bigger, you can move that divider backwards and forwards to make it bigger. So just let me know when you're all ready and all set up. I'm assuming most people know this now, but it never hurt. We shouldn't ever make assumptions about, particularly not when it comes to using technology. Right, everybody okay in terms of viewing? Doris is like, yeah, I know what we're doing. Okay, we're good. All right, so welcome to the Power of Personality and Coaching with Temperament. And as I was introduced to Temperament, over 30 years ago, probably, and it was a light bulb moment for me in understanding and working with type. And Sue and I have really had pleasure doing lots of stuff with temperament and type in the past 10, 15 years. So we've got that participant guide. If you want to follow along, this is on page 3 in your participant guide. And for today, I'm really wanting to focus on performance coaching. So how do we coach people in a business context? And so John Whitmore was one of the people who really originated the concept of coaching, as you know. And one of the reasons, of course, I like it is because coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximize their growth. So give me a quick show of hands. How many of you work with type or temperament or interaction styles in the business context? Just give me a physical raised hands rather than, oh, good, Nathan. Of course, you're all using the electronic one. So Linda, you didn't raise your hand, so you use temperament and type in a more personal context. Right. Okay, go.
Not in business.
Not in business. Okay. Super. So thank you for sharing that. So how many of you then get involved in performance coaching with clients? And if so, how would you define performance coaching? Sue, your hand's still up, or is it going right down from there? Who is currently involved in performance coaching, and how would they differentiate that from the more traditional coaching methodology, which is used more for life coaching, career coaching, that sort of thing? You're on mute, Sue. You're on mute.
Big fun. Performance coaching, helping people understand their natural strengths, helping them to understand their tendencies in relation to others, and how they can make a difference in whichever capacity they are in around them. You know, this is a self-development tool, as we all know. So it's really looking at how you can treat each person individually and understanding that their development is going to look different and is going to start from a different place.
Yeah, so thank you. So I think that's a great example, definition of how we use personality typing coaching, which is really creating that customized, personalized approach to coaching individuals versus a one size fits all, which we tend to see. Performance coaching, in our context, is when there is a predefined set of competencies or behaviors that you're expecting people to demonstrate in their role. So most of my work in performance coaching has been with leaders and managers, and so there are often performance standards that these leaders and managers have. So we're in this weird position that there are performance standards based on their role that they're supposed to achieve. And they also have their unique personality type. And then often there's a sort of a standard coaching framework to achieve the coaching competencies, but not necessarily coaching to their particular strengths or talents or areas for growth or areas for learning. So what I found really useful is, and the difference between performance coaching and more traditional what I call more whole type coaching, is that you will be using a combination of pull and push coaching. Who has heard the term pull coaching, or it's also called inquiry-based coaching, or advocacy or push coaching? Who's heard those terms before? Anyone? So yeah, Colin, speak up, please. Thank you.
Sorry, not in exact that wording, but yeah, very much so, Susan. A lot of my work is people in transitions, and there'll be a bit of a nudge from a senior person who wants this, and
Yeah,
a bit of open stuff. So it's not as far as the performance coaching, but there are bits where I'm expected to intervene and give a nudge rather than just be non-directive all the time, but not getting anywhere near to the kind of telling, here's what you must do side of things.
thank you. You used a lovely word there, Colin. I mean, often when you talk to people about coaching, all they talk about is the power of the coach in asking only questions. You're just asking questions. And in performance coaching, or what you're talking about, there are opportunities. I'm never sure about push or advocacy, but it's non-directive. It's very much, oh, I wonder what would happen if you did this. Now that's push. That's actually a suggestion coming from me, but positioned in a soft, and for me, it's very hard to be non-directive, but I get as close as I can. I wonder what would happen if, and that sort of introduces that non-directive element to it. And so I think when we're coaching with type in performance coaching, and more generally, actually, there is a need to be able to use those nudges. Because if people, and I like the word nudge because it's a gentle, nudge rather than push. It's subtle, nice. Because Toby, you've got a question. You've just raised your hand and looking like you wanted to.
If I understand you correctly, it's like kissing you over the edge, isn't it?
It's what?
It's like kissing you over the edge.
Oh, okay. Kissing you over the edge. So like this.
Yeah,
it's not a phrase I'm familiar with.
Okay. But Signe, do you understand? Because I'm not in English in.
No.
So I'm just trying to get it right. Yeah.
Yes, it's sort of those gentle. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
And
like kissing over the edge, like we learn in Orsk. Yeah.
Yeah. And Signe, what did you want to add?
No, it's a nudge, but it's a gentle nudge, and you have to do the work, but we are here to support you so you go where you want to. Yeah.
Thank you. You have to do the work, but we're there to support you, and you go where you want to. And the one example I always use in my mind is I was coaching someone, funnily enough, in a type organization, and she had an issue with her manager, her leader, also in the same type organization. And I said, okay, so in your normal, lovely ask way, you say, now, what do you think you could do differently in this context? And she said, well, what I think I need to do is da. Now, understanding her temperament, not her type, but her temperament, and she had a rational or theorist temperament, and she was also interacting with a rational or theorist, but she didn't know temperament. She knew type, but not temperament. What she said, what she was planning to do would have taken away the autonomy, the control, and it would have come across as illogical to the person that she was dealing with because that person didn't have the context. So I paused her, and sometimes that's what you have to do in coaching. You say, oh, just okay. So I asked a closed question because I deliberately wanted a yes answer. Are you open to me sharing a little bit more information about temperament, which might help you here? And of course, she said yes. And because if you're asking if you can give advice, you always want to give the what and why so that they're more likely to say yes. And so then I said, so let me tell you a bit about the rational, or now called the theorist temperament. This is the core driver. So expert, competence, autonomy, and control. These are the values. Now, understanding that, how might you approach this conversation differently with your leader? And she said, oh, I wouldn't do what I was thinking of doing at all. What I would do instead is this and this and this and this. And that honestly created a crossroads and rebuilt some of the bridges with that leader. So she ended up staying in that role for another 10 years. So when we're coaching people, there's sometimes an obligation on us to share relevant knowledge about temperament or interaction style or cognitive processes to help them in their journey. And it's particularly important in performance coaching, I think, because otherwise we're setting them up to fail. So a lot of talking to set the scene. Questions, thoughts, or comments? That gives me an opportunity to drink some water. Questions, thoughts, or comments? All right, so what are the objectives for today? Let's do this first. So why do you think we want to use temperament when we're coaching? And this is in the middle of, this question's in the middle of page 3 or so. What's the reasons for using temperament when coaching? For those, because I know, how many of you have done quite a lot of work with temperament? I know Doris has, because we've seen a lot of it, and Sue, and I think Nathan. Yeah, so why use it? Yes, Sue, go ahead, and then we'll come to the rest of the group for other thoughts.
What I love about temperament is that you are what you are, what you are. It is such an innate preference or perspective on things. You know, for cognitive processes, yes, you can swing around to maybe use a different cognitive process, or you can use a different interaction style. You can't change your temperament. You can't just say to yourself, oh, I'm going to be irrational today, or today I've decided I'm going to be an improviser. You know, it just doesn't work like that. So getting to that core of somebody and really relating to them, also understanding where I'm coming from and knowing that my needs are going to be different to somebody who's any of the other three is been really helpful for me in my coaching.
Yeah, I think so. I think people like to say, well, I'm a bit of everything. And yes, well, we're unique individuals, so that would be the case. And you're right, the core of temperament does stay consistent. Those core needs and values just are there. Now, as we mature, maybe, and we're getting our core needs met, we might demonstrate more flexibility in the way we act, but our core stays the same. And I've started recently using one of the concepts that Linda Behrens used, which I sort of got it, but I've been using it with people in a second language, and it really works. Because temperament is a pattern, the word pattern can be quite tough to understand in a second or third language. So what I've been looking at is Linda's analogy is always a tree. And you think, how does that work? So from an acorn, you will always get an oak tree. And the pattern of that oak tree will always have roots, a trunk, branches, twigs, and leaves. That is the consistent pattern that's coming from the core of the acorn, which is your core of your temperament. And no two trees are the same. So what the way this has helped me with people who said, well, I'm absolutely a this temperament, but you know what? That bit doesn't fit me at all. You know, I'm not identifying with analytical thinking, or I'm not identifying with integrative thinking. I'm identifying with differential thinking. And you say, okay, so the way this works is the pattern is constant, but aspects may be different based on your culture, your experience, your upbringing, etc. So we're looking, once we found the core, you're not going to 100% match that core. I mean, I was thinking, as I've worked with tons of INFPs actually, who often get assessed as INTPs. I was working with someone and everyone in the team was like, oh yeah, this woman is a total rational theorist, INTP. But then when you said, okay, so tell me a bit about your background. Oh, well, my father's a college professor. Okay, good. And what's your mother? My mother's also a college professor. Okay. And then what do you tell me a bit about your social life. Oh, we have debates all the time. We're all, logic is really valued in my family. It's like, okay, so the logic piece is a little bit more developed for you than in some INFPs, perhaps. But it's a part, your pattern still is constant. And she identified with the pattern, but not that one element. So the pattern, so that's one of the reasons for using temperament. The pattern is so clear once you get it. The challenge is that our needs are often unknown to us and unknown to others until we've really dug into this. There's a whole jar. If you want a booklet on it, I don't have it. Oh yeah, I do. Hang on. If you don't have this booklet, you need it because she goes through the Johari window with this. It's called Understanding Yourself and Others, an Introduction to Temperament. I think it's 4.0 now. So what are the other reasons for using temperament in coaching? Doris?
That's exactly the book that I was going to bring up, because she calls it the essential motivators, right?
Yes.
So to get at a motivation for something, I find it like just that word that is is a term everybody understands. Of course, the concepts and are different, but it speaks to what is really important to us, and especially
Yes.
when it comes to coaching and how we stand in our own ways. Just this question of, well, what's in it for you if you tried it this other way? Is I find interesting and helpful.
Nice. Thank you, Doris. Yeah, that essential motivators, and it really is what temperament is about. What fires you up? What are those days you get home and you think, that was a good day? Because there'll be some core of your essential motivators that has its needs met there. If you are feeling, gosh, I'm so tired and yet I don't know why, it's probably because there's nothing in your current role that's meeting those core motivation needs for you. So it really does. And for managers and leaders, it's incredibly helpful. Yeah, Signe, go ahead.
We have used interaction styles and coaching with interaction styles.
Interaction style.
Yes. So can you explain the difference, or what is the similarities, or what's the difference between interaction styles and temperament in order for
okay, so temperament, as you know, Kissy originally articulated it, and Linda Behrens and Eve DeLunas have taken it and obviously refined it. And it's about core needs and values. So for me, it's more, people don't like the word, but for me, it's more spiritual because it's internal. We don't necessarily talk about it. It just is. Interaction style is a model developed from Marston's work on emotions of normal people, although if you ever meet a normal person, do let me know, because I don't think anyone's 100% normal anyway. And that describes much more our drive and an internal belief system, but it's much more of a drive and a physical, emotional energy. And so it's much more visible. I mean, and it's often the cause of conflicts actually, because and DISC comes from that, social styles comes from that. True colors, the reason I was playing true colors model is a temperament model. So they're two just very different models. Now they work very well together. So for each temperament, there's each of the 4 interaction styles. So there's an in-charge stabilizer, a chart the core stabilizer, a get things going stabilizer, and behind the scenes stabilizer. And primarily, if I have to choose one lens, I tend to prefer temperament. Now, the advantage of interaction style is it is more physical and observable, and people can comment on it. And if you're aware of this drive that's causing you to act this way, then I think that helps in terms, and that's often very helpful in work if you're going this level. Temperament, I think people have to be willing to go just a level deeper and be a bit more vulnerable, really. Sue, what else would you add? I'm curious, as I put you on the spot. You need to unmute again.
Yeah, that patterns of movement and behavior that is changeable is just so, as I mentioned before, it's just so different to temperament.
Yeah.
You just can't shift your temperament, and knowing how to meet the needs of your own personal temperament is vital, I think, to enjoying your life, finding balance in life, and finding the same core needs that other people have in your world. Raising children, managing people, which are actually very similar things.
Very. Probably harder.
I think I'd rather manage a team than raise 5 children. I don't have 5 children, by the way. I only have 2, but that was quite enough. Yeah. So it, as I mentioned earlier, I took a long time to come to this, but once I got to it, I was hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, and for interaction style, if you're in a hurry, you can look in charge. If you were faced with a very significant decision, which you'd have to sit down, think through, put a process in place, anticipate barriers, you might look chart the course. If I'm beginning a webinar or if I'm beginning a workshop, I definitely look get things going. I do. I just look that way because that's it's to achieve the goal, the attainable goal. And if it's a really in-depth subject and I just need more time to get more data, I haven't got the relevant data, where can I get the relevant data? I will keep searching, and Sue knows where I am on this. I will keep searching until I find the best solution. So I might look behind the scenes then because, oh, you're not doing anything? Well, no, I am. I'm thinking about it, taking in relevant sources, integrating those ideas, thinking about what I'm going to do. So we can look very different. Now, we still have a core interaction style, which particularly we go to when we're stressed. But with temperament, it's much more consistent. And as Doris said, it gets those motivation factors. When we look at our role, the good old 20-80, good old Pareto, if we get 20% of our work that meets our needs and gives us 80% of results, we're going to be happy. Actually, we can deal with the other 80%. We're never going to get a job where we're doing 80% of what we love. I wish, but it doesn't work that way. But temperament, if you can get 25% what you love, you are going to be a happy bunny. You are at work, and you're probably going to be more productive. Yeah. So any other sort of thoughts or comments? Thank you. This is great discussion, by the way. So what are our objectives again? Bottom page 3. We're going to look at how you can use knowledge of temperament both as a coach and for yourself to self-regulate or be aware of your own behavior, and also for coaching others. And look at how we might change maybe our word choice or delivery to meet the needs of the different temperaments. So that's the objectives. And I'd love to just do a quick poll. I'll go for it later. We're going to do a quick poll on temperament. So I'm just sort of curious. So Nathan, will you launch the poll?
There it is.
And there's just 3 questions. My 3 lenses have gone. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing while we look at the poll. This is my quick awareness.
People see the poll? Oh, I think they're still filling it in.
They're filling it in. Great.
Okay. Oh, answers, they're coming in. They're coming in.
Okay, wonderful.
Would anyone like any help in terms of how to navigate the poll? On the right side of the window, you should see a vertical bar. You can click and drag it down in order to see more questions. There's 3 questions in this poll. Or if you have a mouse with a center wheel, you can push the wheel down to scroll down.
Excellent. So it's interesting. So temperament is a combination of preferences. We had 100% yes. Okay. So it's sort of a trick question. It's off. Darius, what were you going to say? I saw you come off mute a minute. Go for it.
That's what I thought. It was like, wait, what? But
Ah,
did you mean the function? It's a combination of functions, or well, whatever. But do it.
yes.
Teaching
So
moment. Go on.
it's a teaching moment. We often describe temperaments in a combination of preferences. So SP for improviser, SJ for stabilizer, NT for theorist, and NF for catalyst. My answer to this would be no. It is not a combination of preferences. It might be used as shorthand. It is a completely different theory to temperament. And it can be captured by that. But the risk, if we say it is a combination of preferences, is that people will say, oh, I've taken the MBTI or type coach, and I've assessed as an ESTJ, so that means I'm an SJ. So the risk is they then forward say, well, your temperament therefore is. Nathan.
Sorry if this question is premature, but is it
No, go for it.
Yeah, is it possible to have a type preference that does not align with the most common temperament and vice versa? So for instance, is it possible to be an INFP stabilizer, for instance?
So in my 30 plus years of working with 3 lenses, it has never happened. It has happened in the sorting process where people go, I'm this. And when we really dig down into their core, not their adapted style, we find that actually either the MBTI was wrong and the MBTI scores wrongly on one preference 50% of the time, or it was more that they weren't sure of their temperament. And they wanted to be, because the whole thing is, it's not what you want to be, it's unfortunately what you are, what you're born with.
Thank you. Interesting.
So that's one of the reasons where I know Sue and I work with temperament and interaction style and type. We start with temperament without using the preferences. I start with temperament and I never mention preferences. I don't want to talk about SNN or TNF or JMP. I want to talk about the pattern, not the processes or the preferences. Because if you start with parts, you're not seeing the tree. You're seeing a leaf, and you're seeing another leaf, And that might be this tree, but you don't know. You have to start from the core. So, and the framework I used, it's only ever a 2-day program, is temperament, half a day, self-assessment, interaction style, half a day self-assessment, putting the 2 lenses together to get best fit type by reading, and then using a whole second day to apply that theory in whatever context, whether it's leadership, coaching, leading workshops, all of those things. So, Sue, you raised your hand too.
Yeah, I was just wanting to say that there are times when you come across someone who you're coaching who you get the distinct feeling they've had a negative experience using Myers-Briggs. And you know, that's unfortunate. You know, I wholly recommend and endorse Myers-Briggs and Jungian type for obvious reasons, because I'm here. But I find if you need to start again and just say, okay, well, let's just put that to one side and do something else, and then I can do, you know, temperament and interaction styles, and then they kind of get it, and it builds up to that, you know, the 4-letter type code. So there's many ways up this mountain. You know, you can start with doing the Myers-Briggs preferences, but you can equally start this way too, and it gets to the same place very, very usually, and it always has a great conversation attached to it.
It does. I mean, and that's why you want a professional working with you, so you have the conversation rather than here's your quiz, here's your test, here's your results, and off you go, good luck. You know, we have to have that conversation around what do these things mean. And because most of the work I do introducing this before going into coaching is in groups, people get the exposure to different temperaments as well. So that helps them in their selection. Temperament is the same theory as type. Yeah, you got that one. It is false. It is a separate theory. So we've talked about that. Temperament is not, is assessed by the MBTI. It is not assessed by the MBTI. And that's the risk. It is a separate theory. Now, there have been attempts at a temperament assessment. I know Kiersey has one. I know I'm blocking on. There's someone else who does a temperament assessment. I avoid, and I prefer cards, as Sue and I know, or I prefer self-assessment, because written assessments get labeled as a test, no matter how carefully you define the word assessment. They're like, oh yeah, there's a right or wrong answer. This is what I should be. This is what I ought to be. This is what my parents want me to be. This is how I need to behave in this culture. And you have to dive down below all of that and find what is it really in your core. So
Susan,
thank you.
Tell me a bit about cards. I'm intrigued and interested.
Okay, so
Sorry,
they're on the desk somewhere, Sue. Here they
You got them there? Yeah.
Yes. And this isn't like the BBC. We can't do our own advertising here. So there you go. Thank you, Nathan. So we design those cards so that if you're working one-on-one, you can work with people and say, okay, here's cards, you know, just have a look at those, read those, which ones resonate with you. And they normally, you know, pick 2, and then you dive down into the 2 and you talk them through, and there's a guide that goes with them. And people then, they own it, because cards are an incredible tool for interactive learning discussions. I mean, they are one of the best ways for adults to really discuss and learn. So we've got these. I've got some specific cards I use just when I'm doing temperament workshops. I do cards where there's for interaction style. So cards just meet all those needs in the brain that we've developed over time. That they're playful. Does that help, Colin? Thank you. Yeah, Doris.
I'm interested. I've not seen them, so thank you.
Yeah, sure. Doris.
Yeah, not to hear more about this lovely product, but are they available digitally as well for virtual Zoom things?
Okay, so you've probably done more work in this area than me.
I certainly use them digitally because I've got my access to them. If you wanted to have access to a digital project, then I would just do that for you on an independent basis. One of these days, the last 2 years, I've tried to get something online, but it's really, really difficult to have a digital product that is actually safe with your IP. So
Yes.
that's the real problem. But
Yeah. Fair enough.
if I found the answer to that one, then yes, there would be a digital product. But seeing as we are a nice small group, if anybody would like to see any slides that they can use and use in that online coaching, then just contact me and I'm sure we can work something out. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the most important thing is giving credit, really, isn't it? So, I mean, that's what we look for, because obviously now everything can get out there. So,
yeah, that's the benefit of membership. You get some good.
So, any other sort of questions or comments about this look at what is temperament and where it comes from and all that sort of thing? So I know you've got this in your participant guide, as I said. So here's temperament, and I use these 3 lenses of type all the time. And for clients in groups, I just explain that we're only going to be looking at the top 2 lenses. There is a 3rd lens that's related to Jung's theory of psychological type and the Jungian cognitive processes from which the MBTI was designed. But we're going to, and I deliberately do not put the preferences alongside interaction style, because that messes with people's brains. It really does, because, you know, how do you explain this to someone new? Okay, so if you're in charge, you're either an EST or an ENJ. And if you're chart the cause, you're either an IST or an INJ. That's clear, right? Now, if you're people just go, huh? But they do happen to mesh that way. I mean, it's really fascinating to me. Since I've been working with those 2 lenses, people just go, oh yeah, I get it now. It gives me a fresh look. And Doris, do you also work with interaction styles in this way? Because I know you've done a lot of work on this.
Years ago, and then I took a little break, and I'm dipping my foot back in. We've moved around a bit and I've changed specialties a bit, so it's definitely at the back of my mind, but right now so I'm back in Europe now, and in the US it was a little more flexible and people were a little more open to exploring different lenses, but the Europeans, I just did an MBTI workshop last night, so
yeah,
MBTI is still what they want to do, especially for teams. And I'm, like I said, I'm just trying it out now. Always happy to do alternatives.
Well, welcome back. Good time to come back. Colin, I'd love to hear from Colin and Signe and Tove, just Signe and Tove, you said you use interaction style. Do you use interaction style and type? I'm just curious, an interaction style and temperament?
We haven't used temperament at all. So just interaction styles and using it in teams, not in one-to-one coaching.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And Colin, what about you? And then come to Linda Rose as well.
I like temperament best. I tend to use type around it because lots of organisations want that piece. Mm-hmm. But I think temperament's the bit that really gets underneath it and gets away from just what 4 letters are you. It's on to a different level for me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't recall, Susan, but somebody taught me this about 20 years ago, and she was doing a course for OPP, and she had a
quite I was looking at you and thinking, you do look familiar. That's right, it was for OPP, yes. I remember you.
I did ask you at the end, I said, offline, would you use Myers-Briggs still? And you said to me, no, I wouldn't. You don't need to. Oh, sorry, this is being recorded, isn't it? I'll cut that bit out.
Very good. Linda Rose, thanks, Colin. Linda Rose, what did you want to add? And then I'll ask Nathan as well.
This is more on a personal level, but I've always been solid on my own for temperament and for the MBTI. And then when interaction style came out, I can't remember how many. I've been into the Myers-Briggs theories for about 28 years, but when interaction styles came out, Scott in Toronto did a
Oh yeah.
huge workshop on it. You know, Scott.
Yeah.
And so part of it was that we did the interaction style on our own. And now I'm asking because of other ENFJs here. So when I did it, it was not, I didn't have a good solid score or whatever. And then when Scott presented the workshops, I still didn't really feel like it fit for me. And so afterwards I asked him, and he said that it was the one thing about the interaction style was that it didn't seem to fit ENFJs. And there were 5 of us at the session that day. And I think 4 out of the 5 of us said, it doesn't really fit. So now I'm wondering about what other ENFJs say now. That this would be many years
Okay.
ago.
So Sue and I were talking about just before the break. So for an ENFJ, the energy is interaction style, and hold with me on this, is in charge. The temperament is catalyst. And the dominant and auxiliary function are extroverted feeling and introverted intuiting. So I felt exactly the same the first time way I came through this with interaction style. And there is that sort of 3 of the 4 really fit, and 1 is sort of different. Firstly, I talk to people around me, and I was like, I definitely think I get things going. And do you know what they said? Absolutely not. You're off the scale in charge. You're so directing. And I said, no, me? I really am. And what Sue and I have spent a lot of time talking about is what we call the paradoxes or the tensions and talents. There's ENFJ. How are people feeling? How can we have group harmony? The catalyst core needs for connection and meaning and purpose. And then we have a time pressure, and off I go. You do not want to see me, well, you just did, Nathan and Sue, in setup mode for workshops. You will see my in charge energy without a doubt. When there is a time pressure, social connections go out the window. It's get the task done and then socialize. So it often, because so much of our body language is unconscious to us, it is much harder to assess our interaction style. And normally I say to people, please talk to people that you like and respect, because who have a really objective viewpoint about you. And Sue, Sue, and then I'll come to Doris as well.
Yeah, it's such a lovely comment, Linda, because I think every single ENFJ I have ever coached on interaction styles and temperament has thought that they would get things going.
Oh yeah.
And then the question that I say is, ask the person you live with and see what they say. And almost every single time they've come back and they go, oh, apparently they agree with you.
So it's in charge?
Yeah.
In charge.
Yeah. So
it's the directing piece.
To get things going to in charge.
Yeah. It's the directing piece, particularly when there's a time pressure or a task to be accomplished, which needs to be accomplished and is not being done.
Yeah. But also it doesn't have to be a direct, like, whistle blowing, give them a hat and a whistle and off they go. It's not that kind of charge. It's a little bit more gentle than that, but it's a definite movement forward.
Yes.
Rather than this sort of tumbling that let me introduce you, which goes with get things going. They're on a roll. An ENFG on a roll is unstoppable from time to time.
Yeah. Here's the goal. We're on the steps to the goal. I'm going to take a risk to get to the goal. Don't mess with me on my way to the goal.
Correct.
Oh, did I just lose you? Oh, now I'm going to come back. Doris, go for it, because you've got tell us your experience.
If we still have time, because
we do.
I hard relate, Linda Rose. But yeah, my first question was, which interaction style did you resonate with? Which one did you think you were? Get things going, or?
I actually don't remember, because it just did not feel right to me. It just didn't fit. So I've never actually used it or read much more about it. It just
Because
didn't resonate with
you
me.
asked about examples, right? So here's my example. There's I think 2 or 3 comments that I want to make. I also resonated with get things going because I'm such a fluffy, nice person, and in charge sounds so rude.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly be in that group. And then we had a break, and a friend, I'm blanking on his name right now, ENFP preferences. He was trying to figure something out. He was, you know, he couldn't get something to work. I forget what it is. And then 2 minutes later, so I saw him, and then we had an interaction, and then you know, a couple of minutes later I asked him, then maybe I'm ENFP because I should be in the get things going group. And he said to me, Doris, you took the thing out of my hand, did it, and gave it back to me. And I had no memory of it. I was like, oh, right, but it's done, right? And you so it's fixed, right? Okay, cool. So that was my first hint that maybe in charge is actually vibing. And then there was another interaction where because interaction styles is about energies, right? So I was asked a question, and I gave an example, and I said, so here's my communication style. And the curiosity was that the language and the vocabulary was very informing, but the nudge, the energy behind it was very directing.
Yeah.
And so you can go with, you know, the language is learned, because we do say please and thank you. So the second point I'm making is the words may be adapted to nice and friendly and bringing everyone in on board, but the vibe behind it is usually unmistakable. And then
nice. That's a really good call, by the way. That's a really good call.
That's Evelyn Lemoyne. I will always be grateful. She pointed it out. I was like, dude, all the things went off. And then the third thing that I wanted to say is, when I ask questions about whether, you know, the directing and informing, when I take people through the interaction style self-assessment, one of the questions that seems to help in this, you know, coaching setting is, well, when left to your own devices, wouldn't you rather?
Yeah.
Or like, how long, how much patience do you have when you have to be nice and friendly and understanding? And, you know, because in my experience, the in charge patience runs out a lot quicker than the get things going patience would.
Oh,
particularly if it's an inauthentic interaction.
Jesus. Yeah. So those are my 3 comments, and I hope you find them helpful.
well,
Really
that's
helpful.
interesting because for 33 years I was a teacher, a school teacher. So the in charge part did fit for me, but it just, I don't know, the whole thing just didn't resonate with me.
Well, and it's because the description can sound very bossy and horrible for in charge, and it's really not. It's just, this is a drive to achieve an achievable goal with fast movement and determined energy. Yeah. It's not the sort of very gregarious. So it's like, it can look quite quiet as an extrovert, ENFJs, because they're task focused. Yeah. So I'll
have to read some more about it.
Please. And of course, we've got these, I was going to say, we've got this great card set. No, but I'll shut up on the cards. So yeah, the 4 temperaments. Yes, the original Keirsey words were artisan, guardian, rational, idealist. And we always try to talk about them in that sequence, because artisans will tend to think they're everything else. So you have to catch them quickly. So do them first. Do guardians second, because guardians both share the more concrete results. Rationals go third for default, and idealists go last because they're willing to wait the longest to learn about themselves. And I like Linda's words because they're nouns and verbs. Because the trouble with, or the challenge that came up with the Keirsey words is artisan people associate with, are you making pots? You know, are you doing that? Okay. And that certainly doesn't work if you've got a lot of improvisers in software design. Guardian, it sounds too rigid. rational, so that means everybody else is irrational. And idealist just sounds like pink fluffy jumper. So I like the words that are more descriptive of the behaviors that you might see with each of the temperaments. So I'm going to do a whistle-stop tour through the temperaments because I think it sounds like you're pretty familiar with them. I just want to debunk a few myths first, and this is on page 4. It answers the question why we do what we do, and I will share these slides afterwards, by the way. It's a pattern of needs, values, talents, and behaviors, actually, that underlies our way of acting and being in the world. And it's, as Doris talked about, it's our motivators. We may demonstrate behaviors from all 4 temperaments, but we will identify most with one primary. And as Sue said, it is inborn and it is constant. So I'm going to whistle on because you'll get this afterwards. So our improvisers, what do you associate with? Give us a few examples of behaviors or needs or values that you might associate with someone who has an improviser or artisan temperament.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous, thank you, Sue. What else?
Physical, and in the moment.
Yeah, physical, in the moment, very aware of their bodies, in the sensory moment. Yep. What else? Other associations.
Love of things that are aesthetically beautiful.
Yes, love of
Yeah, I was going
things
to
that
say
are
stylish.
stylish. That's beautiful, two beautiful ways of expressing love of things that are aesthetically beautiful, stylish. Exactly. So a few things here, and these are in the temperament table or in your participant guide as well on page 5. So the key to know about temperament is what are those core needs? And it's to be noticed and make an impact. Love me, hate me, but please don't ignore me or bore me. You know, I want it and I want it now. And my favorite improviser said, instant gratification takes too long. So we've got to go for the core, and that need the freedom to make their own choices. The worst thing we can do if we're coaching any improvisers is give, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that. You've got to do this, because that takes away their freedom and could provoke a stress response in them. So freedom, freedom, freedom. And you'll hear the words freedom, boredom, present, in the moment a lot. And they're really good at that hands-on troubleshooting and firefighting, tactical problem solving. And tell me what I mean by the word pragmatic, because 2 temperaments tend to be pragmatic. They're the improvisers and they're the theorists. And I think the term often gets misunderstood, particularly in the second language. So who'd like to define pragmatic? Has anyone got an easy definition of pragmatic for me? Colin, you look like you're about to speak there. You were taking a breath.
I was thinking it's do what works. What do I need to do right now to get what I need?
Thank you. What do I have to do right now that will work? And it's interesting that improvisers and theorists share that pragmatic temperament. Just do what it takes if it needs to be done now. And so they can look very illogical then, but it's not. It's not practicality. It's what the current demand needs, what the current situation needs. And if we're coaching them and we want to motivate them, they want all those things. They want to solve a problem. They want challenge. Both our improvisers and our theorists they like challenge. See the tangible results for improvisers, excitement and stimulation. And as we talked about, in the here and now. And I'm deliberately not spending as much time on this because I assume a level of knowledge. What else can I clarify, or questions do you have about our improvisers? Yes, Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I'm always surprised at is with introverted improvisers, yeah, the ISTPs and ISFPs, because all of this kind of feels like they're always going to be extroverted, but the introverted types want all of this, but under the radar.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to get that balance between,
Balance.
you know, we talked earlier, Sue, about like types and tensions, you know, tensions and talents. And the improviser, the ISPs have all of this behind the scenes almost. Yeah.
Yeah, and the behind the scenes improviser, ISFP, who leads with introverted feeling or valuing, you know, is going to want to make an impact with those that are important to them, or something that he or she thinks is significant. The ISTP often ends up thinking they're theorists. I mean, the people who I've most struggled with are ISTPs, because they're highly logical. They lead with analysis, you know, introverted thinking like INTPs do, ISTPs. And so they're very logical, they see very theoretical, very analytical, and they have that chart that calls energy. So it can look quite strategic. Here's the goal, here's the process to reach the goal, but it's inside. But the drive or the core need is still to make an impact and have the freedom to make their own choices. It's really, that's what you have to get to. Whereas for a theorist, the core need is about being competent and having autonomy and control and being an expert. Yeah. Sue, did you want to add something? Did you add something then? No?
Something was on the tip of my tongue, but it's gone. Sorry, I'll come back to it.
Come back to it, because we'll be talking about these again in a minute. All right, so our stabilizers, luckily we hardly ever have improvisers, and that's the type community's loss, by the way. And it's because we don't make it improviser friendly. This is my hot button. I mean, the reason I do so much work with learning styles and how you help adults to learn is because if we stand there and lecture, they are bored to tears and we've lost them. We've got to make it practical and hands-on and relevant and give concrete examples rather than play an abstract theory all the time. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Stabilizers.
Sorry, Sue, that was the point I was going to make.
That's the trouble with.
Yeah, they're hardly ever here.
They're never here.
They change their behavior so contextually and so well. You know, in any given situation, I can flip and twist and be something and blend into my environment and do whatever it is it needs to do, that they just hate being boxed into anything. And they will either just not turn up or decide that they are NPs, which they rather prefer.
Oh, yes. Definitely NPs. Yeah, much more sexy. Yeah, much more.
They like
I
that.
mean, I can't tell you the.
As an NP than an SP.
Oh, yeah, I can't tell you how many ESFPs I found masquerading as ENFPs. So the get things going improviser versus the get things going catalyst, because they do have very strong values. No doubt, get things going improvisers, strong values. It's the in the moment, how can I make an impact? So I love improvisers are approximately 40% of the population. So we're missing out on 40% of the population in our type communities. What about our stabilizers? Also not very well represented, I don't think. But thank you, Sue, for holding the flag up. So what are some words or phrases or statements that we associate with our stabilizers?
Dependable.
So we had dependable. What did you say?
What duty and responsibility have got to be the big ones up there, haven't they?
Yeah, duty, responsibility, membership, belonging. Yes. Any other words?
We need to have a springboard from which we can then fly. Like, you need to really get this foundation in. We need to be grounded. But I think the mistake people make is that's where we stop. And it's only that's what we need first. So as long as we've got that grounding, you know, in the type community, the number of people I come across who sort of slightly dismiss SJs, and because they said, well, you know, sadly for you, you happen to be an SJ, but you know, in your next life, maybe you'll be
Sorry
lucky
about
enough
that.
to be an intuiting type, and then life will be so much better. But actually, we get there, but give us our grounding first. Yeah, and
It's so
then
interesting.
it's playtime. So the work has to happen before you play. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I was talking to someone was in a workshop that I ran in Madrid a couple of weeks ago, and she was definitely had a stabilizer temperament. She said, okay, so I start at the past. This is exactly what you were saying. She said, I start with the past. I need to look at that past experience, get it grounded, get a foundation so I can then plan for the future. And she said, and then I've got my sequential processes going forward, because she was identifying what we call with the infinite time orientation from our theorists, because going past to future. So it was just as exactly what you said. And that we, again, oh, so sad that I'm so sorry you're a stabilizer. I mean, this, oh, you must be boring because you live in the past type stuff, and which is not true at all, particularly if we understand cognitive processes, because if you've got recalling, you've got brainstorming. So here's the responsible, dutiful, and by the way, there seems to be two temperaments that worry, and those tend to be stabilizers and catalysts. Stabilizers, I think, a little higher, but and they want to contribute. They want to see their role in contributing to this goal, and they do need to take responsibility and get the right thing to the right place in the right time, in the right quantity, in the right price, repeatedly. An improviser will do it once, but guess what? They'll do it differently every time. I particularly find this helpful in change initiatives, because too often our stabilizers aren't involved at the beginning of a change initiative. That someone says, okay, off we go, we need to change this. So off they go, and then they come into the stabilizer and say, okay, stabilizer, you need to make this work. And the stabilizer's like, well, why are we making the change? What's the reason for making the change? What did we change that we didn't need to change? What do we need to change? How can we make change sustainable? But we don't get our stabilizers involved in the beginning. We get them involved too late. And stabilizers are needed to cement change. Sue, what did you want to add?
Yeah, my comment actually was exactly around that, Sue, because there is such a myth out there that stabilizers don't like change. And actually, we can handle change extremely well. But the thing that you need to work on with stabilizers is, in this process of change, what stays the same? And then how can the stabilizer pivot around the thing that's staying the same?
Stays the same.
Even if you think everything's turned to custard, the stabilizer will say, we'll go for, well, what's the same? What can I grab onto? And once they've got that, then change can be fine. And change well explained is also
yes.
fine.
Yeah. Really nice. Yes. They do like hierarchy. Where do you fit in the structure? Who do you report to? What's my role? What's their role? How does that role work? And they want to see a tangible result. They want some sort of structure and stability. And yes, they go first to the past. It doesn't mean they don't live in the other worlds. It doesn't mean they don't live in the other worlds. And again, it's on the table. It's just in a slightly different look and feel on page 5. All right, let's look at our theorist. We've also got a lovely theorist here. Welcome, Colin. What do we know? What's some words or phrases associated with our theorists?
For me, it would be autonomy, challenge, future focus,
Yeah.
and not leaving me looking like a mug. Like I don't know what.
Yeah.
It's the competence piece, isn't it?
Yeah, the confidence thing. Don't leave me like, oh, autonomy, so control, make me look competent. There's a sort of, where are we going in the future? Yes. So, and there's also, and what's interesting with theorists is they go for the relevant information. People like to think, give them all the data. No, you don't need to give them all the data. Please don't. You'll bore them to tears. What's relevant? And sometimes the relevant data is the past, sometimes it's the present, sometimes it's going towards the future. So that's what we mean by they're constantly scanning. Sue, go ahead.
We had Sue, thank theorists on our recent Type and Creativity type Q&A session, and they both love being creative, but the only time that they would really do something creative is if they thought they would learn something at the same time. So
Yeah,
even a creative hobby, like I have a creative hobby that I don't need to learn anything, I just need to create. But a creative hobby for the theorists seemed to be that as long as they're learning while they're being creative, then that makes them doubly happy. Does that fit for you, Colin?
Yeah, I think the slight tweak for me would be I'm into sport, but I'll only do sports that I can be quite good at. If I'm good at it,
fair enough.
It's a waste of time, and I would assume that's the same as that creativity.
Yeah. And often it's a sort of want to get better at, and there's an element of challenge often I've heard with our theorists as a sort of challenge. Yeah, so there's our core needs again, to demonstrate knowledge and competence only in the areas they're interested in, and the areas they think they can learn, because there is an interest and a passion element that's slightly separate from this. They like to act as an expert. There's the autonomy and control and the mastery. I know it's a male-dominated word, but there's no feminine equivalent that works. So mastery of concepts, ideas, and really good logical independent thinkers, and very good at strategic problem solving. And will tend to, whereas some temperaments will improve within the system, our theorists are likely to be the ones that will just say, well, let's throw the system away and let's start again. And macro to micro, big picture to details. So they want intellectual stimulation. I also hear a lot of intellectual independence, leading edge, opportunity for independent thought. I was working with a fantastic group of Muslims who were people teaching in that they were teaching in their madrasa, and they were losing their theorists because the theorists weren't given independent thought in their madrasa. They were told what to think. They weren't asked, what do you think about this particular premise? And they said, I need to think. And I remember our son saying, I think this years ago when he was at Solihull School, and the guy said, I don't care what you think. I want to know the facts. It's like, you never did do well in that class. So there's the theorist temperament. Again, about 10% of the population. And that is not using the MBTI statistics. It is more qualitative observational statistics really. Any other thoughts or comments about our theorists? Yeah, Doris, thank you.
Married to one, and the comment is they don't just, or at least my one doesn't just like to be an expert himself. He only really listens to experts as well.
Correct.
If he doesn't think you know what you're talking about, he will not pay a lot of attention to you.
Absolutely right, Doris. Yes, I mean, and they're very democratic actually about that. If you're the cleaner in the school, but you have a field of expertise, lovely. But they won't give you automatic respect because you're CEO if they think you're not competent. Yeah. Sue, what did you want to add?
I'm also married to a theorist, an ENTP. And if I ever ask him how he feels about something, he will only ever respond to what he thinks about something.
Well, of course, that's what you're asking, right? There's
if I ask him again,
precise language.
Yeah,
the word is think.
If I ask him again, then he still won't. So he's just got to spin it around somehow so that it becomes a thinking question, not a feeling question.
Good question.
My INTP said for years, feelings, I have no such things. What are they? Yes. So I'm on record as saying that type saved my marriage for a reason.
Yeah, me too, yes. Doris.
Me too. Here we pull
group. the NT support group, or married to NT support group. Yeah. Sorry, Colin. Yeah.
I get it.
All right, so the last temperament, which we've got high representation here, and so I'm not going to say as there's a, and it can sound quite soft, I think, in some definitions of catalyst, but there's a purpose and a meaning, and that there's a real focus on develop own and others' potential, They want to be special and they value each individual as being special. So one of my pet hates, I hope you haven't ever said this, Sue, is when people say, oh, you know, my daughter or my son is just like me. No, they are not just like you. They are their own independent person, and you're limiting their options by doing that. That's how you see the type coming out, the temperament coming out. It's like it's just not in alignment with my values. So, I mean, we can say I can understand you more because I see this behavior, which I see in myself. But we have to focus on behaviors, not and conditional language, not the other one. You can tell I haven't had lunch yet. Yeah, so or breakfast. Yeah. So contribute, make a difference, genuine relationships, concepts that relate to people, help others grow and develop. I don't know why it goes in the second line like that. All right. So now I have some decision. Right. Let's think about you as a coach. What I'd like to do, here we are, Nathan. Here's poor Nathan sitting there going, okay, can you set up breakout rooms? I'll review the improviser. You look at 3 strengths and challenges, the stabilizer for 3 of you. For Colin, Tova, and Doris, 3 strengths and challenges you think a theorist might face when as a coach, when you're acting as a coach. And then we'll just do a brief review of the catalyst strengths and challenges as a coach, as we've got so many of us. Does that make any sense at all? What do I need to do to clarify Sue with extroverted thinking, please?
So we're just doing the stabilizers in my group. We're just working
Correct.
on stabilizers. Oh, okay.
Correct. 3 strengths and challenges. And because I'm only going to give 5 minutes, so can you set it for 5 minutes? Great. So let's look at, I'm going to share some strengths and challenges what I thought improvisers might face as a coach. Feel free to add others, and then we'll come to the stabilizer room, then the theorist room, and then we can look at the catalyst one in the same way as we do improviser. So I think one of the strengths of improvisers, and say I'll share these slides with you afterwards. So the ability to set those short-term pragmatic goals. What's happening right now? How can I as a coach function? And very much focus on short-term action steps. And I always think it's important to look at this. Improvisers know innately what's in it for the other person. So it's what we call understand motive. So what does the client want from this coaching process? And then they use that data to flex their style to meet the to do their contextual thinking to meet the client or the person they're coaching where they are. So those are their strengths. Every temperament can be a coach. Potential blind spots as our conditional language. And I deliberately put all conditional language here because these things are dependent on ego development. If you've seen any of Angelina's work on ego, Angelina Bennett's work on ego development, you know, if you get a sophisticated improviser, they will be able to channel into their introverted intuiting. They may be reluctant to follow a structure, a coaching structure, and sort of go where the journey takes. And they may miss the big picture. I mean, I think one of improvisers as a temperament's biggest blind spot is missing the implications from their actions. So if I do this, oh, that actually really upsets someone. And I didn't think that that would upset them because they're acting so in the moment. So you might not see the implications of making a suggestion. And they may not give credence to what they might perceive as sort of intangible, fluffy, abstract, theoretical models, which they don't see relate to them. So anything else that anyone would like to add as a strength and or as a potential blind spot? All right.
I think, just one comment, I think as a strength, they take in the context of their environment incredibly quickly and notice, you know, physical movements, or if someone's got a tick, if there's if there's an environmental
That's a good
issue,
one.
then they will spot it and notice it. They'll notice all of the body language, all of the facial expressions,
Yeah.
and work with it. Yeah, they're very good at doing it.
So I will add that to the slide. Take in the context quickly. All right. What did you have for your stabilizers? Oh, sorry, Colin, did you want to add something?
It doesn't matter. I was only going to say there's something about the optimism about them as well. It doesn't matter what's happened today. I feel like tomorrow could be better all the time, and that's a great asset.
Yeah, I can deal with anything, sort of thing. Yeah. Lovely. All right. What about our stabilizers? What did you have? Driven by Sue in terms of strengths and challenges or stabilizer?
We had a bit of a laugh because we were doing strengths first, and we got to 2 strengths, and then Linda Rose said that she had a challenge, and I said that we couldn't do that until we finished the 3rd strength.
Makes sense to me.
But I was happy to flex, but just could we possibly finish off the 3rd challenge? The 3rd strength would be just great for me. Thank you, because it's all about me apparently. Yeah. So we did have the 3 strengths. Please chime in, Linda Rose and Singer too. I see it as a strength as being sequential, like being able to sort of see that, you know, what's come first, what comes next. You know, taking a pattern of a conversation, noticing how things have sort of moved forward. We're also terrific reviewers because we can remember what was said before. So going back to what was, you know, what was said earlier, and then linking into you know, what's being talked of at the moment, and also this sort of stickability. You know, we want to stick at it. You know, loyalty, dependable, but when it comes to coaching, you know, you know, that can also be a bad point, by the way. But that, you know, we'll stick at it until we finish, or we'll be somewhat disappointed if somebody wants to exit halfway through, and you've got, I haven't finished.
Yeah, you haven't finished.
Where are you going? I don't know. I don't get it. You know, there's so much more I can tell you, so that you know. Anything to add, my colleagues?
Oh, I just wanted to explain my reason for jumping in. My ex-husband was a stabilizer, so I felt like I didn't really want to contribute to the strengths, but I would gladly contribute to the challenges.
We've all been
there. Enough. Does someone else want to do the challenges?
Yes. Potential blind spots.
Yes, maybe not open to distractions, or please follow the plan. Why it's yeah, not spontaneous. They get distracted or frustrated. I'm joining the stabilizer support group since I'm married to one.
We also said that they're not silly enough.
Yeah.
You know, there's a sort of playfulness that can sometimes be missing. You know, like we're not going to have fun until the work is done. So we kind of need to work on a bit of silly.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And we please follow what we agreed to. Why do you jump out of the plan? Or why do you want something different now?
Oh yeah, particularly if you're coaching an improviser who will, the plan will last till they walk out the door or find some new challenge, and then the plan will just go. Very nice. Anything else?
They're not thinking too far outside the box. Like you can, you know, if it's within the realm of possibility, then that's okay. But if you actually give some absolutely way off wacky idea, then it will either get ignored or the eyes will roll, or you know, that kind of thing. So we love creative ideas, but we are the ones that tend to have the tactical sort of skills to give them legs and ground them. So if you go too far off, you've lost us.
Yep. All right. So, yeah. So that structured coaching experience, which I think, you talked about that sequential pattern. You talked about remembering previous examples and ideas. So I changed the word focus now. Realistic. I mean, that's one of our strengths of our stabilizers is they know what's real. And when you said, if something's too wacky, if it's just not real, so they know what's real, but that might be a barrier. And the ability to set those concrete goals. This is what success will look like to you, and support with that. There we are, the spontaneous, the flexibility, and again, maybe stressed, maybe reluctant to encourage the client to try something new, although I think that it may be that more about if you haven't followed the plan that's agreed might be stressful. I think that's better. May dismiss abstract ideas as unrealistic and may miss the big picture. But I like some of the other things.
Sorry, I was just about to say that my recent response to somebody who said, let's all do some blue sky thinking or brainstorm, call it whatever you wish. My internal response is, lovely, but wake me up when you've finished.
Yeah, because it has to have an element of reality in it, I think. Yeah. All right, what about our rational theorist, Colin, and your team? What did you come up with?
Well, maybe I should do the strengths. And as Trevor and Doris have both got husbands that are rational, they'll see all the faults, and ones that I can't see, we'll probably get quite a long list there. So I'll try and find some strengths first, and then hopefully pass over. So
go for it.
So I think the things for me would be something about not getting caught in the weeds. So seeing the big picture and what we're really trying to achieve here with the future focus would be what one strength there. I think because theorists love to see from each angle, and they love a debate almost, and so the ability to get people to see things in a different light, see the same situation through different lenses, I think is a real strength. And the third one I'd go for as a strength is because of their desire themselves to be autonomous, there's the ability to try and keep the client really in charge of the conversation and where they're going, and not slyly take it over, because you're really keen on making sure that they're going down the course they want to. But they would be three strengths that I would say.
Lovely. So not caught in the weeds. I think that this is an excellent one, ability to see things in a different light. It's one of those wonderful things with those critical questions that theorists ask. Different from criticizing, it helps us look at things in a different way. It comes up, and you're looking at it that way. How can you look at it from here instead? That's a lovely point. And, help the client stay in charge of the conversation, probably because of the autonomy, value autonomy, and foster independence in others.
Yeah.
Really nice. I'll just put up my strengths and we'll listen to the possible blind spots. I think they really are good on the what and why. I think the past, present, and future is part of that strategic piece, and able to focus on the means to the ends and the ends to the means that helps people in the reframing, I think, Colin, and the logic. You're in this at the moment, particularly if you're coaching a catalyst who's in it.
Yeah.
Step outside, reframe it. Let's be outside looking in instead of inside looking out. Really nice. What did you have as some of the challenges of our, and we're going to limit the time here. No, okay.
Oh, dear.
He's not a coach actually, but he's a leader, and he I don't know how to put it. Well, there is an impatient. He see the whole picture long before many people, and he is so impatient to get there, so he forget to wait for others to get there.
Which 4-letter code is he, Tove? What's his 4-letter type code?
ENTP.
Okay. Okay, so I hear more of a pressing is often pressing is more reflective and urgent. I hear urgency with when theorists are described for the ENTPs and the ENTJs. There's that urgency push outside versus pull inside.
Yeah,
so that's very nice. But impatient when other people don't see the concept or the picture as quickly.
Yeah, and there are good intention, and but he too eager sort of also.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, too eager. Yep. So clear. What else did you have? And then
being so analytical and strategic. Yeah.
Strategic. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
It can be felt that he's pushing too hard, and maybe forget, or maybe not taking, maybe not consider. Oh, I'm sorry, it's too late for me to speak English.
I know it is late, isn't it? Because what is it, 10 o'clock there?
Here also the intention are good, but he can be, you said it, Colin, be received as too harsh.
Yep.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's give you and Doris, were you in the same group? Yeah.
Yeah. Colin also mentioned basically the strengths when you dial them up a bit too much, not seeing the nitty-gritty and the step-by-step concrete process, and maybe allowing too much freedom or being too lax around setting goals and then following up on them and giving them commitments to live up to, which I thought were great points. And what I added for my husband, he is coaching 8-year-olds basketball now, and something that he is definitely a great growth edge for him and a great learning. But when somebody is visibly upset and crying and all the emotions are spilling out, that is something he has to get used to and is not his favorite place to be.
No.
So it takes a lot of work to go on their level and pat them on the back and say it's all going to be okay, and
Yeah, so that sort of dealing with that sort of outward expression of emotions, that's when someone's visibly upset, pushing too hard. Again, it's sort of missing the emotional and the people piece, isn't it? And not seeing the nitty-gritty and maybe too much freedom. That's what I often see with leaders. It's like you're on your own, and actually delegation doesn't mean drop. Delegation means support initially. Yes, Sue, go ahead, and then I'll bring on my ideas.
This is a wife comment. It's very difficult to convince them they may not be right.
You nod there, Sue.
Yeah. And best not to get emotional.
Yes, that whole emotion thing, yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. There may appear overly analytical or dismissive of details. That's the one I see a lot, actually. Well, why do we need to worry about those details? They're irrelevant. No, actually, the devil's in the details. Yeah. They may be reluctant to follow a tried and true idea because let's look at new. May miss the current reality, and that whole may miss that emotional connection.
Susan, can I ask a quick question? Because of the delegation doesn't mean dropping and letting people the autonomy and stuff. So, because I've recently met an ENTJ leader who I would describe in a word as a micromanager. So am I right in assuming that they've been probably working out of a stress situation for a long time?
A stress situation, maybe they don't think the person is competent, they're leading with their extroverted thinking, and their in charge is taking over.
Right.
And that's where we see it. The in charge takes over. And I see that a lot with ESTJs or ESTJs or ENTJs. it's like, okay, there's a time, we've got to get this done. I don't think you're competent. And that's when the micro, and it's really weird because it's sort of, it goes from that macro to really micro.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
I was just going to say, completely agree. My husband is a lawyer, has an ENTP. He can do massive amount of details if he's in a situation that if he doesn't do the detail, he'll look incompetent.
yes,
So
yes.
the detail thing really comes in, just as Sue was saying there, but that just to lift that out as a real example. But details about other things, like, you know, if friends are coming around and he hasn't remembered that they're vegetarian, I have to do those sorts of details, but he can remember every contract to the nth degree
Yeah.
that he's ever signed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's relevant details. Our son is who's ENTP has ENT preferences, is also a lawyer, and he keeps huge amounts of data in his brain when he's in court. Huge amounts.
Yeah.
Remembering anyway, we won't talk about his other lovely messy side. So ideal is Catalyst as a coach. I'm just going to talk this through and then add, only because I'd like to spend just the last sort of 15 minutes looking at how we flex our style to the different temperaments as coaches. We won't have time for the team activity, Nathan, apologies, because I know you've already set up the activity. So I think strengths for our Catalyst, and then we've got so many, feel free to add. Understand what's important, that empathic communication. There's that sort of instinctive being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Future focused and ability to see potential to a fault. Empathic and naturally optimistic. I mean, I think it's interesting. Improvisers and catalysts sort of share that optimism. Optimism because improvisers think they can just deal with whatever comes up, and catalysts because, you know, there's infinite potential in the world, so of course we can develop it. Potential blind spots, overly credulous, so maybe not being realistic enough. I think that's a big catalyst blind spot, what's real, and maybe reluctant to consider these realistic options. May miss the logical perspective, but it just again depends on ego development and the hierarchy of functions. May be disappointed if the client does not live up to their potential. So they're a bit like stabilizers that way, that loyalty and wanting them to finish a process and being disappointed if people don't live up to what they can. So I'd love to hear from the CAT system room, any other strengths or blind spots that you see. And again, I'll add it to the slides before I share them. Yeah, Signe.
Yeah, maybe start on too many projects at the same time and never finish. Or the ambition is to finish them all. If I start them all at the same time, then I have to finish them. And by the time I have started them all, it doesn't matter.
I think that is an element that is most obvious in ENFPs, because it's what I talk about. There's sort of I call it something squared. So ENFP is like a catalyst squared. So it's like two catalysts. So we've got the purpose and the meaning and the significance, and we've got let's get people involved, let's people engaged. So it's like a double. And so that's the get things going catalyst probably struggles with that the most, starting with too many projects. I mean, I'll have too many projects and yet I will cut them off. I will.
Yeah.
I will. I was going to say something else. Yeah, and just to close the loop on the squared, the in-charge improviser is like improviser squared. It's all in the moment, now. The chart the course stabilizer is like stabilizer squared. So you've got chart the course, let's map out the process steps, then you've got sequential thinking past. And there really isn't one for theorist. I don't think behind the scenes of theorist are theorist squared, because it just doesn't work. But anyway, yes, Sue, what did you want to add?
Quickly, just a challenge for a strength. If I'm going to go and see a coach, I'm not going to go and see someone who's ESTJ preferences, because I can ESTJ them out the park. I want to have something else. So I really love going to a coach that has different preferences to me. And for me, for the NFs, which is totally opposite to me, it's seeing what is unseen to me. Like I just haven't got it. I haven't spotted it. I haven't either done extroverted intuiting,
Nice.
introverted intuiting. I haven't, you know, on the board, we've got somebody who's ENFP and she's constantly saying, you know, I write something and she says, could you add some more warmth to this, please? And I'm like, did I miss warmth? I don't know.
What is that
So,
warmth word?
well, I've done warmth. I tried hard, but so
I think
it's
that's
that
really nice. So seeing what is
what is
unseen.
unseen to me, because
Yes.
everything has to be very obvious.
Yeah.
And I find that a real strength of an idealist coach, and I would seek one out because of that.
Yeah. I think it's actually one of the reasons that I'm married to a stabilizer, and I think that's one of the ways we balance each other, because I see what's unseen and he sees what's seen. That's there. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about that. No, we do have to worry about that. Oh, you're right. All right, so I know we are pushed for time. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'll share the slides. I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse of what it's like to coach the different temperaments. So we got 10 minutes, we've got 2.5 minutes for each temperament, and that's how you know I'm in charge. Okay, so I tend to use the GROW coaching framework. Does everyone use GROW? Who uses GROW? Yeah, it's the sort of most commonly used coaching framework, and it can be used in performance coaching and others. So goal, what do you want to achieve in this coaching process or this coaching session? And this is really introverted and extroverted sensing. For those of you who know type, what's happening now or what's happened in the past? What are some options you might consider? So that could be extroverted sensing or extroverted intuiting. And what will we do to take action? So those with the judging preference might naturally tend to do more of this step, although anyone with extroverted thinking in their conscious hierarchy can do it. So what I did, I looked at this coaching framework, and then I looked at how each temperament might approach this coaching framework. So that's your sort of backdrop, and that GROW coaching model is at the bottom in your handouts. I think of page, because I didn't reprint it, 6, because I always give a handout. So unfortunately, no time for team. So coaching improvisers, and I think we could sort of imply a lot of this. You know, goals have to be concrete and now focused. You can't be doing these 5-year goals with our improvisers. In fact, the shorter term, the better. And they want individual ownership so they have freedom. What can you do about this? What do you think you should do about this? So lots of open questions, of course. Language, they tend to use more concrete language. So they use similes, not metaphor. Theorists and catalysts tend to use more metaphors. They use more similes. It's like this. Similes are more like things in reality. And informal language, let's just get to it. Don't mess about. Let's get on with it. And if you can do, demos, role plays, when you get the third person sitting in the seat, be flexible. You'll set the goal, you'll set the actions from meeting 1 to meeting 2. And if you're lucky, they might do 1 or 2 of those things. Be prepared to go any way they go. What's your context right now? What made you think about that right now? How can I support you right now in this context? And hands-on action. What are you going to do? Use lots of action verbs. And look at, you wouldn't necessarily say this to them, but how can they make an impact and be impressive in what they're doing? What's in it for them? So you're almost having this in your head. And if there are action packs, make them clear and to the point, because their improvisers are really good at finding the holes in the cheese in terms of, oh, well, I did that bit, but not that bit. I did that bit, but not that bit. So, and they're also very good at telling you what you want to hear. So you really need to be careful on, make sure you ask follow-up questions so that you dig down into what's actually going on. Tell me more detail. So you said you shared the presentation ahead of time and it got great feedback. Great. Give me an example of that feedback, can you? Who did you share it with? When did you share it? What was the direct response? What worked? What other observations did they have? So that you're really getting below the surface, because otherwise you'll skate the surface and you won't be able to dive into what's really going on, because they know what's really going on. They just might not share all of that with you because they want to be impressive. So they don't want to necessarily share anything that makes them look unimpressive. Any observations or thoughts or insights?
I was just thinking, Sue, that for the word impressive, I've never found the introverts to like that word. That they
No,
would
it's
rather have given opportunity to make an impact.
okay. So impact, or yeah,
That seems
make an
them a bit
impact
better.
subtly.
Yeah, because be impressive sounds a bit sort of ESP-ish, or
Right.
too much.
Right.
But an
Yeah.
impact gently, it seems to work better.
Okay. Let me add that to that one.
And I just like to offer or add, when I was coaching a couple of improvisers in Brooklyn, we took walks. They enjoyed the conversation
Great
while
idea.
moving.
That's a great, well done. Lovely, because then they're in the external, here and now, and it helps the brain focus too.
Yeah,
Really
and
good.
next to each other, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, excellent. Take a walk. Lovely. Not you, just I'll write on there. Take a walk.
Bye, Doris.
All right. Just stabilizers, clear process, clear goals, clear structure. They love grow. Love it. Here's the goal, here's the reality, here's the options or opportunities, whichever word you want to use. Here's the way forward. Here's the plan. What am I doing? What are you doing? Who's responsible for what? What's the dates? And the sequential language, which is a strength. So try not to jump around too much. First, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. I mean, it's so hard for me because I don't remember examples from the past. But if you can remember examples from the past, and there's one thing I really prep for meetings. It's okay, what are some examples of what I've seen before that I can bring into this session and this coaching session if I think we're going in this direction? If there is detailed how-to information, give it, because you can't, because if they haven't directly done it, they'll love it that you're giving specific data. So don't jump about, focus what's real and relevant, and they'll love the clear action plans, responsibility, and timelines. Okay, I'll give you one thing to add, Sue, because of time.
Sure, yeah. My one thing to add is that, yes, of course, SJs are also introverted sensing, but this is way beyond introverted sensing. Introverted sensing is a function that you can use, whereas having an SJ temperament is a need. Like, it's not that you like it, it's that you need it. It's far stronger than, yes, I'm going to use this cognitive function.
Yes. Yeah, and I think there is a tendency, if you look at it, there's a combination of preferences to just think, oh, well, we'll just start in the past and work forward, but not necessarily. For our theorist, really the what and the why, probably not going to follow grow step by step, because it's once we've got the goal, then we might see the way forward, and then we might come back to the reality and options. All will be covered, but not sequentially. Qualifications to build credibility, to show that you know what you're doing. Models, theories, frameworks, anything that's a new concept that's relevant, and try and be precise with language, accurate word choice. And, it's no big deal, because if they think you're credible, theorists will change your language for you. They'll say, well, what you mean here is this, right? For instance, I loved Colin's nudge word instead of push. That was a much better word than push. Relevant data. If you don't know say you don't know, because they'll pick it up and you lose all credibility by bluffing. And it's okay, push them, stretch the boundaries, be stimulating, be intellectual challenging, ask those critical questions. What would happen if you did this? How might this work differently? How else, and particularly who might you bring in? Because theorists may not always think of that. Who else could you bring in who's an expert in this? Maybe somewhere else, different field, because they're really good at thinking of doing that cross contextual thinking. And really logical, objective, dispassionate discussions on ideas and actions. You don't want to go show lots of emotion. Oh, wow, I'm not sure. Oh, I think you might upset someone that way. Try and hold the logic, or start with the logic. New and leading edge, and make sure any action plans has something in it for them in terms of building autonomy, building competence, being more in control, learning. Learning is such a big one. Colin, anything you'd add? One thing you'd add?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good.
I'll ask the other question.
If there was one thing I'd add, it would only be, I think you can be much more challenging with your questions. And so someone could ask me, what's the question that I should be asking you that I've not asked you so far? That's quite a challenging question, but I'd love that, because
you love it.
Something in my mind that I'm avoiding, and you're inviting me to bring that to the table.
Lovely. Yes. What's the question that nobody's asked you that you could ask? Right. Yeah. Challenge. And I think the targeted, powerful questions are really important for our theorists to really make them think. Last but not least, the goal, how it will develop potential, who will be effective. Lots of people here. Authentic and genuine, because they're going to pick up when you're fake. Absolutely fine with integrating coaching content with other models. Abstract language with analogies and metaphors, and again, theorists like the abstract language. Do really enjoy the genuine positive feedback. You're doing this well, I appreciate, and it has to be specific. It can't be just good job. What specifically have you done well, and how that's contributed or helped or developed potential. Ensure there's a conversational climate. It's got to be back and forth. Don't lecture me. Future focused, optimistic energy, encourage contribution, engagement. I mean, generally catalysts are going to like a lot more ask or pull coaching, I think, because they'll want it to be such a conversation. And the action plans, how can it achieve a purpose or make a difference? So go back to those core needs. You start with the core needs and we finish with the core needs, so that we're anchoring it in their temperament. Anyone want to add, as we've got a lot of catalysts, anything else you'd like when people are coaching you? No?
I think the connection is really important.
Yeah, I love that. That's correct. Yeah, make sure there's an emotional connection.
Yes.
Nice. That's a nice way of wording it. Thank you, Signa. That's lovely. All right. So this is in your participant guide. I don't have a chance to look at it. If you want anything on temperament and stress, you have to read Eve DeLuna's book, Survival Games, Personalities Play. You cannot know temperament without reading that book. What's your takeaways from this session? I'd love to say, and I appreciate particularly it's later in the evening there in Europe. What's your specific takeaway from this session? And I'd love just one sort of comment from each, if possible.
I think for me, it's so much more to learn. So this made me just dig deeper and use it in coaching. Since temperament it's quite new.
Great.
Yeah.
So much learned, dig deeper, and it can be used in coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, and I support that, and we will learn this together, Signe.
Yes, we will.
And it inspired me to really read the book. I have the book, but I haven't read it yet.
Okay, great. All right, good. So I love the inspiration. That's music to my catalyst ears. So thank you. So what about Doris or Colin or Linda Rose or?
So I'm sure you'll understand this is the pragmatist season. I'm thinking about how can I incorporate cards into my courses and use them in a different way, because there's a new and different idea and I've been looking for a different way of shaping. So that's at the forefront, let alone
Yeah, yeah. And it's a great, I mean, it is the learning tool for all types and all temperaments. It really is. Yeah, so right.
I find it interesting hearing different people's perspectives, and even though we're from different parts of the world, we all share a similar perspective sometimes.
You know, that's such an interesting. I did a program years and years ago with Oracle, and I think I had, I don't know, was it something like 20 different cultures in the room, and we were looking just at temperament. And the improvisers got together, the stabilizers got together, the theorists got together, the catalysts got together. They had more in common than they did with their cultural lens. It is a natural way to do cultural diversity without calling it cultural diversity. It's amazing to me. I mean, you're right. We look at these nationalities we have here, and the common patterns are globally consistent. Great. Doris, anything to add? Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for listening. I know I took up a lot of time, but so for me, the thing when Sue was presenting on the stabilizer strengths, and then also looking at how to coach, how I would like to be coached, is that introverted sensing piece of remembering what was said before and reminding me where. Reminding me of the beginning of a conversation. I had a coach who was brilliant at doing that, because it was like, oh, you were listening. Thank you. You're helping me put these together. And for when I'm coaching others, I'm very aware of, I have to take a lot of notes, and that kind of takes me out of the session because I want to be able to do that. But because my introverted sensing is so unreliable, it's something I wish I was better at.
Yeah. I do the same thing. Copious notes. Whether I can understand them afterwards is another thing, but I don't.
Oh, rarely look at them again, but they're there if I wanted to.
Well, listen, yeah. So I hope we've emphasized the importance of temperament as a coach, looking at our strengths and blind spots, and really adapting our approach to whom we're coaching. And thank you for joining us. And Sue and I and Nathan will be on for a few minutes more. Hang on, there's a thing in chat because my chat show on you. And it's been a pleasure working with you. You see, this is the bit that lights my fire. Now I'll go back to editing course design documents with for a performance coaching certification that I'm running. So you've given me energy to put into that. So thank you so much.
And just
over to you, Sue.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Nathan, for doing the hosting. You always do a wonderful job. And on behalf of everyone at BAPT, we'd like to thank you, Sue, for your time, because no matter how many times we think we've heard this stuff, or for those it's new, we just get these little gems. When you actually listen to people's examples, and it's kind of such fun, it's so enjoyable, but it's so valuable to just keep realizing that everybody is different to us and we need to adapt and change. So it's a huge thanks to you, Sue, for giving up your time. We really do appreciate it. And just on future things coming up with BAPT, we've got loads of stuff in store for you. We hope you'll just go online. If you're on our emailing list, you will always get those bits of information. But we also have an international type conference coming up in September, which will be in Oxfordshire next year. Should you all wish to hop on a plane, then please come and join us. It will be an absolutely wonderful event. So we're hoping to get a wonderful crowd of type enthusiasts there. And certainly we enjoyed Copenhagen. Were you in Copenhagen, Signor Tove? Was that where you?
No, we didn't manage to get there. So
yeah,
we would love to. Yes, we would love to come.
I'm definitely going to be in Oxford next September, so I'm definitely at the conference. So because I couldn't do it this year, yeah.
No, excellent. So we look forward to you coming to any of our future events, but we're very grateful for you turning up this evening or this morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
All right, good to see you again, Doris.
yeah.
And as I say, big thank you to Nathan for hosting.
And we'll hang around, but for now you're free to go to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you please,
Lovely
can
to
you
meet
please
you
put
all.
the name of the book in the chat?
The Survival
Or
Games
is it in the,
Personalities Play.
yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you, Susan and Sue.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Thanks,
It's a
Colin.
pleasure.
Yes.
It's
Good to
great.
see you. Don't leave it 20
Very
years next time, Colin.